2 weeks ago, João Pedro Matos Pinto was shot and killed during a police operation in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. João Pedro was a 14-year-old black boy who was playing with his cousins and friends at home, and had plans and dreams for his future, which were violently interrupted by police officers, causing sadness, indignation, and revolt among his family and those who believe and fight for a more just and more egalitarian and safer society for all. We regret and are heartbroken by the deaths of João Pedro, George Floyd, and the thousands of other black people who have lost their lives over the years worldwide because of systemic and structural racism which continues unabated. In addition to the more explicit cases of police violence, public policies in the areas of health, education, and housing also unfairly affect the lives of the black population. Even currently, in both Brazil and the US, the risk of death from COVID-19 pandemic is markedly higher among black people. The Interagir Laboratory at the Federal University of Paraná in Curitiba, Brazil, researches and works towards developing practices to promote coexistence in educational spaces so that they become increasingly safe where everyone can learn and develop to their full potential. As a group, we believe that everyone has a right to grow, and for that, everyone has a right to live. Because it is such a recurring phenomenon in our society, racial discrimination and its effects in the educational context have been a part of many of our research projects. The Interagir Lab, for example, has shown that experiences of discrimination in the university environment, although still understudied in Brazil, are associated with isolation and poor adjustment, even with the social support of friends and family. In Brazilian high schools, we found that ethnic victimization affects academic performance both at the individual and school level, but that this effect is less severe in diverse schools that adopt more diversity education practices. And although the school characteristics can amplify the damage of prejudice, causing black students to have significantly lower academic achievement than other students, it can also be a means to increase access to justice and mitigate the effects of discrimination, as fundamental in shaping children's opinions about social institutions. In 2017, we collaborated on a postgraduate program in affirmation at UFPR with the objective of contributing to greater equity and diversity in access to master's and doctoral level programs. In the following year, we developed the Learning to Live Together program, aimed at training educators to prevent violence, prejudice, and discrimination in the school environment from a perspective of human rights education. And, like so many other people who fight racism and all forms of discrimination, we are not satisfied. And with our indignation, we reinforce our commitment to respect people's differences, foster coexistence, and the full development of all people. In the coming weeks, within the framework of the GIGA program, whose goal is to promote healthier relationships in schools, families, and communities, we will be providing education plans aimed at education for diversity. We'll also launch on the UFPR Open Portal a module entitled Bullying, Racism, and Racial Discrimination as part of the Learning to Live Together course to encourage reflection and discussion on anti-racist educational practices. In addition, we're planning the development of a project to improve coexistence and school climate through assessment data, focusing on the promotion of racial equity. Education for racial equity can contribute to access to justice and mitigate the devastating effects of racism. However, schools can also exacerbate these losses through unfair and unequal practices. In this moment, marked by the intensification of challenges and risks for the Black population, all of us who work in the area of education need to think about our attitudes, our practices, our teaching, and our research, ultimately contributing to the changes that our society needs.